All right, Matt, here we go. We just have a couple of lessons left in our review unit. And here is our fifth lesson, the distributive property. So you guys have done this before. You know that if you've got something like a monomial, so a single term, times a binomial, two terms, you multiply the monomial times both of these terms. So a times b is ab, and then a times c is ac. Now, you can also have the binomial or any kind of polynomial first, followed by a monomial, and it still works the same way. You're still going to multiply a times the b first, and then a times the c next to get ab times ac. All right, so let's just start with some basic distributing problems. First one, we're going to do 4 times 2x. And we're going to do 4 times negative 6. So 4 times 2, remember when you're multiplying, you multiply the coefficients, and then the variable stays the same. So 4 times 2 is 8. The variable stays the same and is x. 4 times negative 6 is negative 24. There are no like terms, so we are finished. Next one. The monomial is over here on the side, but that is okay because we can still go this direction. We can do 5 times negative x and 5 times 12y. So the coefficient's negative 1. Negative 1 times 5 is negative 5. And then the variable of x. And then we're going to multiply 5 times the coefficient of 12. 12 times 5 is 60. And then our variable of y. Last one, we've got a monomial times a trinomial, 3 terms. 7 times 2x, 7 times negative y. And we'll do 7 times negative 6. So 7 times 2 is 14. There's our coefficients being multiplied, and then the variable of x. This is 7 times negative 1. If we don't see a number there, the number's 1. So 7 times negative 1 is negative 7, and then the variable of y. 7 times negative 6 is negative 42. A positive times a negative is a negative. All right, distributing negatives. So on this one, remember, if you don't see a number out there, the number is 1. So this is a negative 1 out front, and we're going to distribute the negative 1 into the parentheses. So multiplying the coefficients, negative 1 times negative 2 is positive 2, and then the variable of x. Negative 1 times positive 1, remember, if we don't see the variable, or see the coefficient is 1. So negative 1 times positive 1 is negative 1, and then the variable of y. Almost there. We got negative 2y times 5x and negative 2y times 9. Negative 2 times 5 is negative 10. Now this time I have two variables, so I'm just going to write them down because it's negative 10 times the x and times the y. I always write them down in alphabetical order. So this would be negative 10 xy. It just means negative 10 times x times y. Negative 2 times 9 is negative 18. And then the variable of y. Last one, we've got a monomial times a trinomial. So we'll do negative 3 times that one, and that one. So we've got negative 3 times negative 5, which is 15, positive 15, because negative times a negative, and then the variable of x. Negative 3 times negative 1 is positive 3, and then the variable of y. And negative 3 times positive 3, a negative times a positive, that's going to give us a negative 9. All right, so make sure that you're pausing if you're doing this for the first time. So pause it and then try out the problems, and then see if you're getting them right. Next one. Distributing fractions. So if we are distributing a fraction you can think of as having multiplication and division all in one problem. So if you're distributing a fraction, you're going to multiply the numerator, that's the number on top, and you're going to divide the denominator, the number on the bottom. So it's kind of two problems in one. Now these first three that I've got here, they all have a numerator of 1. So we know when we multiply by 1, nothing's going to change. So all we're going to worry about is dividing the denominator on these first three, because we don't have to worry about that numerator up there. All right, so I'm going to divide this one by 3 this one by 3, and that's our distributing for here. It's multiplying by 1, which doesn't change anything, and then I'm going to do divide by 3. So 18 divided by 3 is 6, and then the variable of x. Negative 3 divided by positive 3 is negative 1. We're going to distribute. Oh, I did the wrong color. That's going to bother me. There you go, better. All right, so over here, multiplying 1, nothing changes. And then the denominator is 5, so we're going to divide everything by 5. So I've got negative 25 divided by 5 is negative 5, and then the variable of y. 40 divided by 5 is 8, and no variables. Last one, multiply by 1, nothing changes, and so then I will divide by 2 on both of these. So 42 divided by 2 is 21, and then the variable of x. 14 divided by 2 is 7, and then the variable of y. All right, now we're on to the next ones. Now remember, you can multiply or divide pretty much in any order that you want. So you can distribute the multiplication first and then do the division, or you can do it the other way. It doesn't matter which way you do it. Now, if you have a negative, you have to pick if the negative is going to go with the numerator or the negative is going to go with the denominator. Now, normally, I always make it go with the numerator. You can't make the numerator and denominator negative. Otherwise, remember, a negative divided by a negative is actually a positive, so that would change the sign. So this negative has to go to just one of them. So you can do this kind of in any order that you want to. What I like to do is I like to look at these two numbers and ask myself, will the 5, the denominator, go into both of these? In this case, the answer is yes. So if that happens, I will distribute the denominator or divide by 5 each time. So that's my first step. So the negative 2, I have not distributed, so it's still out there. And I'm just dividing by the 5. So 15 divided by 5 is 3. Negative 10 divided by 5 is 2. So I have distributed the 5 first, and now I'll multiply by the numerator. So negative 2 times 3x, that gives me negative 6x. And negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4. All right, next one. Denominator is 3. So I'm checking to see if 3 goes into both of these, and it does. So I like to do my division first when that happens. So I divide first. I have not multiplied this 2, so that's still out there. 27 divided by 3 is 9, and 30 divided by 3 is 10. And we got the variable of b. Okay, and now I'm going to multiply the numerator that I haven't done yet. So I'm going to multiply the numerator to both of these, and we'll get our final answer of 18a and plus 20b. Awesome. All right, last one. So for this one, we got a little bit of a sticky wicket here. 4 does not go into 2. 4 does go into 8. So when this happens, here's what I like to do. I like to do the multiplication first, because if 4 does not go into both of these numbers, then we're going to have a situation where we're still left with a fraction at the end of the problem. So 4 does not go into 2, so instead, I'm going to distribute the negative 3 first. Negative 3 times negative 2x gives me positive 6x. Wrong color. 6x. Negative 3 times 8 is negative 24. All right, so I've done the numerator. I have not done the denominator, and I did the negative at the same time. So I multiplied by negative 3 right here. So I distributed negative 3, got positive 6, negative 3, got negative 24. That means I still have 1/4 sitting out here. All right, Now remember, both of these are over 1 when you don't have a fraction. When you just have like an integer, your denominator is 1. So you can just multiply going straight across. For this one, 1 times 6 is 6. 4 times 1 is 4. This one, 4 does go into 24. 4 goes into 24 6 times. So I'm distributing this 1/4. So negative 24 divided by 4 is negative 6. Now I can reduce this. 6 over 4 still reduces. So I can divide the numerator and the denominator by 2. Oops, I should have done it on the other side. Divide that by 2 and divide this one by 2 to get a final reduced answer. The final reduced answer would be 3 over 2 and then the variable of x minus 6. That one was a sticky wicket. All right. And now we're just going to do some review problems where we distribute and we combine like terms after we've distributed. Okay, so pause at this point, try them out yourself, and then you can unpause and see what I got. So I'll go through these kind of fast. All right, if you've unpaused, here we go. So I'm going to distribute the -1. So I distribute -1, I get 14 minus 8x minus 9. And now I'm on to combining like terms, descending order. Then x would come first, and then these are my constants, and they would come second. So I would get -8x, and then I would combine 14 minus 9, and it gives us 5. Next one, I'm going to distribute the 8 to this one and this one. That's going to give me 24y minus 16 plus 7y minus 4. I've got like terms of the 24y and 7y, and my constants are like terms. So variables go first, 24 plus 7, that's 31. Y, and then -16 minus 4, that'd be -20. They're both negative, so I add the numbers and keep the sign. Distributing the next one, I'm going to get -15x plus 3 plus 15x. Okay, I'm going to look for my like terms. I have an x to the first term here, x to the first term here, and then a constant. Combining my two x terms, these ones I get 0x. So that means I have no x's, because -15 plus 15 cancels each other out. So all I'm left with for this one is just the 3. The x terms have deleted each other, basically. All right, next one. I'm going to distribute the 1/3. Oops, wrong way. I'm going to distribute 1/3. The 3 is on the bottom. There's no number on top, so it's just dividing by 3. So 12 divided by 3 is 4, so I get 4b. 18 divided by 3 is 6. I get 6c minus 13c. Everything has an exponent of 1, so this is alphabetical order now. Wrong color, dang it. All right, and then these two are like terms and they're c's. So 4b comes first, and then combine the two coefficients here, I get -7c. All right, next one. So on this one, I don't have anything to multiply on top, it's just 1, so that's not going to change anything. So I have to divide by 6 on the bottom. Now what we have to watch out for here is this is negative, so I'm dividing by a -6. I'm going to divide all of this right here. So I'm dividing by -6 over here, and here's what I get. The 8 stays the same out front. 24 divided by -6 is -4, and then the variable of x. -42 divided by -6, that would be positive, a negative divided by a negative, positive 7, and then plus x. Looking for my like terms, I have an x to the first and an x to the first term, and then I have the constants of 8 and 7. -4x plus x is -3x, and 8 plus 7 is 15. Last problem. All right, so this one, I have negative 3/5. I'm going to start by distributing the negative 3. I could start by dividing by 5. It doesn't matter which way you do it. You can do it in any order. So I'm going to just do it like this because I can. So I'm going to distribute that first. I get 2x. I have not distributed the 1/5 yet. And then negative 3 times 5 is negative 15x. Negative 3 times negative 10 is positive 30y. All right. Now I'm going to distribute the 1/5 part, so dividing by 5. All right. So I get 2x. 5 goes into 15 3 times, so that's negative 3x. And 5 goes into 36 times, so that's 6y. I have like terms with my x to the first terms, and then I have a y term. So I'm going to combine these two. I get negative x plus 6y. All right, we just got one more lesson to go for this review unit. Math hard? I'll see you next time.